Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News at 6 starts now.
A family in shock over the death of a man hit crossing the street in his electric wheelchair. Tonight, loved ones are telling us who he was and why they have issues with how the case is being handled. Thanks for being with us for the News at 6. I'm Kimberly Gill.
And I'm Devin Skillian. David Vojta lived with cerebral palsy. He was in his wheelchair trying to cross Metro Parkway Sunday when he was hit and killed. Police said the driver they took into custody, a woman from Harper Woods, was drunk behind the wheel. Victor Williams had a chance to talk with David's family today. And Victor, they say he was always very careful around roadways.
Yeah, that's right, Devin and Kimberly. And we're told that he was even very well known for pushing a button to signal that he was going to be crossing the street, giving him the right of way. But someone took his life away by just simply not paying attention. And then on top of that, it's creating really a world of hurt for family members.
It's been horrible trying to stay strong for them. Watching my granddaughter cry that she can't get why her grandfather was taken away and she can't hug him anymore.
Life has almost been unbearable for Susan Vojta and her children ever since her husband, 50-year-old Frank Vojta, was hit and killed while riding his electric wheelchair on Metro Parkway in Harrison Township.
As a parent, you're supposed to be able to take their pain and help them, and I can't take that pain away.
The collision happening at 4:45 p.m. Sunday evening, just feet away from Frank's home. He was returning from helping his mother, who had just had a recent surgery.
He was a wonderful child. He was just so meanable. I loved him so much.
The driver, 42-year-old Darcy Lynn Repine from Harper Woods, was taken into custody. She blew a .08 and is now facing a 15-year felony as a result, but was released on bond.
I don't feel like justice is being done. When she was in jail and she was in custody, I felt like it was a little bit of relief that at least she was suffering a little bit, or at least she was off the road.
Now the family is filing a lawsuit with attorney David Femininio.
We're taking legal action because there's no excuse for drunk driving. You know, there is absolutely no excuse. There's way too many options for people to just get a ride.
Frank had lifelong cerebral palsy and was confined to using the wheelchair and scooter to get around, but he didn't let that get in the way of him making a living as a computer programmer. Now it's going to be hard for Susan to take care of their 5 kids with him no longer around.
We're both on Social Security, which now I lost more than half of my income. He would still give you his last piece of food, his clothes. Everybody loves him. Everybody is missing him.
And we know it's a lot of people that would like to help this family out, especially with this happening so suddenly. So if you guys want to, head over to clickondetroit.com to do so. Victor Williams, Local 4.
Just horrible. All right, Victor.
A church youth leader in Macomb County is facing charges of criminal sexual conduct involving a child. Luis Mendoza of Clinton Township was arraigned this morning on CSC charges. He's accused of giving a 15-year-old girl marijuana and sexually assaulting her. The 29-year-old suspect is being held on $250,000 cash bond under the condition that he not be involved in any church youth activities. Late this afternoon, an official at Stony Church on 26 Mile in Washington did confirm Mendoza worked at that church, but would not comment any further.
The Michigan legislature finished its 2023 session yesterday. The earlier than usual wrap-up is a way to allow for Michigan's new presidential primary election date next February. And as legislators head home for the year, there are some saying this is really a good idea, pushing for the state to move to a part-time legislature. Rod Maloney live in the newsroom with how that idea is playing out in Lansing. Rod?
Interesting, Devin. The legislative week is usually 3 days while they're in session, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. They're usually under 100 sessions a year, and some Lansing Republicans are saying, hey, that's just fine with them when it comes to making lawmaking a part-time job.
Michigan senators and representatives make just under $72,000 a year with an expense account and mileage. They average under 100 sessions a year. Michigan's among only 4 states with full-time legislatures. The other 3 are New York, Pennsylvania, and California. Some Lansing Republicans believe Michigan should join the other 46. State Representative Brad Paquette of Niles says it's about rebuilding trust with a skeptical electorate.
We have a recent speaker going to jail for accepting bribes, a recent speaker who was living the high life with dark money and going on trips and all kinds of random things. And so we need to make a sincere effort to start tracking back on some of these dishonorable actions.
If passed, the Michigan Constitution would limit legislative sessions to 90 days, and Paquette says could save taxpayers money by reducing legislative salaries and separate lawmakers from lobbyists.
Any way that we can track back being closer to our constituents rather than the lobby corps, that's a win in my book.
Oh, but there's not a lot of support on the other side of the aisle. State Representative Lori Pohutsky of Livonia believes the proposal changes Lansing in a less than helpful way and
force out people who are more representative of the actual working people of Michigan, and going to make it so that people who can afford to take time off of work are the only ones or don't have to work, are the only ones that are able to actually take up that role of an elected official. And I think it's overall bad.
And so it's an idea that appears that a part-time legislature is, well, frankly, dead on arrival, likely because the governor's office this afternoon sent me a statement, and in part it reads, it's curious that Republican legislators now want to push a proposal that would allow them to work less and take most of the year off. She added that there has been previous pushes to get a part-time legislature, and of course, those have all failed. Reporting live in the newsroom, Rod Maloney, Local 4.
Time and again, exactly. All right, Rod.
Well, we want to take a moment to let you know the proposed new cell phone rules that we told you about yesterday were unanimously approved by federal regulators today. Those rules are aimed at helping victims of domestic violence establish their own communications. So telecom companies are now required to remove a person from a family billing plan within 2 business days upon request. They must also provide low-cost replacement phones for domestic violence victims and must also allow the option of cloaking calls and text messages to domestic violence hotlines and shelters. All of this in case a victim's phone use is being monitored.
Hard to believe the Detroit Free Press Marathon was a month ago now already.
It was, but today one runner who crossed the finish line celebrated again with the doctors she believes made it happen. Local 4's Pamela Osborne was there for what turned out to be the most meaningful medal transfer of them all.
Brenda Mack may have completed the Free Path Marathon on her own 2 feet, but she did so after undergoing back surgery only a year ago. Well, today she handed her medal over to the doctor who made that run possible. The Free Press Marathon drew nearly 24,000 people to the city of Detroit and across the bridge to Canada. Brenda Mack was one of them. She may not have clocked her best time, but her run that day was triumphant.
I'm so thankful to be back running. I'm not nearly as fast as I have been, but I do have to remind myself 6 months ago I was in a walker.
Last September, after running her 18th marathon, she realized something wasn't right.
2 weeks later, I got out of bed and I fell right to the floor.
She called up dear friend Dr. Lisa Rogers, who started running tests. She discovered a pinched nerve and referred her to the best doctor she knew who could help.
She had an unusual condition called spondylolisthesis, which means her spine has actually malaligned itself, where one vertebral body is offset on the other one.
The surgery was a success. The recovery was slow. For 6 months, Brenda couldn't run at all.
As soon as the driveway was cleared, I got my walker and I was out doing the cul-de-sacs, and I wasn't wasting any time getting back.
So you see, it was a big deal when she crossed the finish line of the Detroit Free Press Half Marathon. Today, she did the only thing she felt made sense for her to do with that medal.
Dr. Alduhak, with much appreciation, I am gifting you my marathon medal. You deserve it.
Thank you very much.
I asked Dr. Abdulhak what he's going to do with that medal. He said it is going in his office as a reminder of how people can get back to being themselves through surgery and the work that he performs. Reporting in Detroit, I'm Pamela Osborne, Local 4.
Isn't that
Really
sweet
great.
gesture?
Yeah, really great story.
Love
Right,
that.
Pam.
We had yet another really lovely fall day.
I know, you just can't beat this weather with a stick as we take a live look outside. It's still a gorgeous night, 53 degrees at 6 p.m. And we've got more of it coming, Kim.
We do. We just keep these days coming and coming, but we're coming to an end now. Tomorrow's going to be the last dry day where temperatures will be in the upper 50s to low 60s. Right now out at the airport, we have dropped down to 52 degrees, 57 at City Airport, 56 in Pontiac and Howell, 57 in Flint, low 50s now in Port Huron. But it's still quite a bit warmer than it was at this same time yesterday. In fact, 14 degrees warmer in Port Huron, 12 degrees warmer in Monroe, 15 degrees warmer in Mount Clemens, and 12 degrees warmer right now than it was just 24 hours ago in Ann Arbor. Tomorrow will be once again another warm day, lots of sunshine. Starts out the same way as we did today, though. It starts out very cold with temperatures only in the 30s, but we warm up to a high of 61. And then, I know you hate when I say this, but big changes ahead, unfortunately, for the weekend. And we'll talk about that in a few minutes.